China. Drowning in debt after failed businesses, Ma Hongtan believed he had been sabotaged. Burning with revenge, he detonated a massive stash of homemade explosives, killing 83 people in a single night. On July 16, 2001, the small village of Ma Fong in Hengshan County, Shaanxi Province, was struck by an unimaginable tragedy. Ma Fong was once an obscure village on the Lust Plateau of northern Shaanxi. But in recent years, it had gained notoriety because some villagers illegally manufactured explosives to supply nearby quarries. Locals said the process was simple and the profits huge, so many joined in. But this also meant the entire village was living on top of a powder keg. The midnight blast. Yu Haijian, a villager, recalled that around 3 a.m. on July 16, 2001, a deafening explosion shook the ground. His bed was flung into the air and he was thrown onto the floor. Half an hour later, he was devastated to learn that 6 of his nephews and his eldest brother were buried under the rubble. His youngest son's classmate, who had come to visit, also died. Yu only survived because he had spent the previous night guarding his melon fields outside the village. At the epicenter, the home of Ma Shirka was blasted into a massive crater, 118 feet long, 89 feet wide, and 23 feet deep. Underground water surged up like a fountain. Entire rows of houses nearby were flattened. Nearly half the village was wiped out. Windows shattered within a radius of 3 miles. Crops and trees within 2/3 of a mile were destroyed by the shockwave. Countless livestock and poultry were killed or wounded. The explosion killed 83 villagers from 71 households, injured 98 more, and damaged 311 homes. Economic losses exceeded 5.6 million yuan. Most of the dead were young people and children, because the elderly lived in cave dwellings carved into the hillside farther away, while younger families lived closer to the road, near the blast site. 5 families were completely annihilated, including the Shirka family. 4 to 5 other families were left with only 1 survivor. Ma Dandam lost 8 relatives, his parents, wife, 2 children, younger brother, sister-in-law, and nephew. He lived only because he had gone to water his crops the night before. Another villager, Yu Zixing, 34, and his wife were injured, but their 3 daughters and 1 son were all killed. Tracking the killer. While rescue efforts were underway, China's Ministry of Public Security sent more than 20 investigators and technical experts to the site. Their investigation revealed that the explosives came from Ma Shibin, 39, who had been storing tens of tons of homemade explosives at his younger brother Ma Shiki's house. On July 18th, Shibin turned himself in, admitting he had illegally produced and stockpiled explosives. Experts ruled out accidental detonation, concluding it was a deliberate criminal act. Suspicion soon fell on another villager, Ma Hongtan, 51. Tan was illiterate. In 1995, he opened a quarry and made explosives himself, but his ventures kept failing. His mines, chicken farms, and explosive workshops went bankrupt one after another, losing tens of thousands of yuan. With a terrible reputation, no one wanted to partner with him. He also had bitter disputes with Liu Shiwei, Ma Shibin, and others involved in the illegal explosives trade. Before the blast, many creditors had come to his door. Under extreme stress, Tom behaved erratically and threatened revenge. On August 2nd, police questioned him, but he admitted only to making explosives. The breakthrough came when investigators found his daughter's diary, which recorded his drunken rants. "I'll blow them up. If I can't bring him down, I'll blow him to pieces." Under repeated interrogation, Tan finally confessed the plan to kill his enemy. On August 16th, Tan was indicted by the Yulin City Prosecutor's Office. According to the indictment, Tan's failed businesses and crushing debts drove him to believe that Liu Shiwei was behind his downfall. He decided to kill Liu with an explosion. On July 15th, Tan took 2 blasting caps and 46 feet of fuse from his quarry in Yunnan City. At around 3 a.m. on July 16th, he crept to the window of Shiki's house, where Shibin had hidden tons of explosives. The window was bound tightly with wire, so he couldn't steal any. But he didn't give up. Thinking of his debts of more than 100,000 yuan and his miserable life, Tan muttered to himself, "What's the point of living? Better to die and take them with me." He picked up a branch, poked a hole into a bag of explosives, inserted a blasting cap attached to a fuse, lit it, and shoved it in. As the fuse burned, Tan panicked. What if he didn't die, but was left crippled? Terrified, he fled the scene and went home. At 3:25 a.m., more than 30 tons of ammonium nitrate explosives ignited. Trial and execution. Prosecutors charged Tan with reckless disregard for human life, deliberately endangering public safety, and causing mass casualties and destruction. After trial, he was sentenced to death and executed by firing squad on September 23, 2001. Ma Bin and another accomplice were also sentenced to death for producing and trafficking illegal explosives. The shockwaves of the case. The blast not only devastated Ma Fong, but also shocked the entire country. For years, villagers had ignored government bans and continued making illegal explosives, selling them to small coal mines and quarries. Some families even grew their production into small-scale factories. When authorities cracked down, producers had finished explosives inside homes, setting the stage for disaster. Investigators discovered that in April 2001, one of Sherbin's makeshift explosive factories on a mountain had been shut down during a safety inspection. But the shutdown was lax, allowing him to secretly move the unsold stockpile into his brother's home. On July 18th, the head of Hengshan County Police was dismissed and placed under investigation. The local police chief and deputy were also detained. On July 30th, the Shaanxi provincial government issued a statement. Although the blast was caused by criminal sabotage, it also revealed deep issues of bureaucracy and negligence. Some officials had ignored repeated central government directives, and safety measures were poorly enforced. The horrific tragedy forced authorities to launch sweeping reforms and stricter controls over illegal explosives.